this is a 5 by 5 if I'm not mistaken. 5.5 by 5.5. Yes, a 5.5 by 5.5. I am using a 3.5 millimeter. If you want your garden square to be smaller, you can just switch your crochet hook to a smaller hook. If you want it to be bigger, you can switch to a bigger size. But I am using a
We are actually going to need the same amount of granny squares for different sizes. The only difference is we are using different crochet hook to create those granny squares. So for my size, which is a medium to large, I am using a 3.5. If you're making a size bigger than large, you can use a 4.5, and if you're making a size smaller than medium, you can use a 2.5. That is honestly the only difference, but the rest of the pattern is going to be done the same way. We are going to have the same amount of granny squares, and we are going to attach everything the same exact way.
Starting off, we are going to make a slip knot and chain 4. After chaining 4, we are going to go into the very first chain we made with a slip stitch, and that is going to give us a tiny circle. And right after your slip stitch, you are going to go ahead and chain 3, and a chain 3 in this pattern is a double crochet. So you're going to chain 3 chains, and after chaining 3, we are going to go into the circle. Mine is super tiny, but right there you're going to insert 15 double crochets. So you're going to yarn over and go into the circle with a double crochet, and you're going to go ahead and do another 14 double crochet. So in total, plus the chain 3, we should have a total of 16 double crochet at the end of this first row. So you should have something like this at the end of your 15 double crochets. We are going to end off the row by going into the top chain. Remember, we chained 3 at the very beginning, and if you look carefully, it does look different compared to the other stitches. So right into this very top chain, I am going to slip stitch to end off this row. And you can now go ahead and just readjust the awl by drawing your slip, this excess yarn that you have right there. I would suggest you count your stitches because you want to make sure you have 16. So count the amount of stitches you have now, because if you move to the next step, you are probably not going to be able to do that again. For 2, we are going to go ahead and chain 3. And again, remember, a chain 3 is a double crochet. But right after the chain 3, we are going to chain an additional 1. So in total, 4 chains. And right into this very next double crochet stitch, you are going to insert a double crochet. Right after, you are going to chain 1, and into this next double crochet, a double crochet. Right after, you are going to chain 1, and into the next double crochet, you are going to insert another double crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat for the entire pattern until you get to the very end of the row. And right here, we are coming to the very end of the row, and this is what your work should look like. You are going to now go right after your last double crochet and chain 1, and right into this very top chain. Remember, we chained 3 at the very beginning. The first 3 chains are a double crochet, but the 4th one we did is a chain 1 space. So you're going to count from the bottom 1, 2, and into the 3rd, you are going to insert a slip stitch, and this is how you're going to end off row 3. The next row, we are going to go ahead and chain 3. Again, the chain 3 is a double crochet stitch, and right into this first chain 1 space, you are going to go ahead and insert 2 double crochets. So you're going to yarn over, go into that chain 1 space with 2 double crochets, just like that. Right after your 2 double crochets, we have a double crochet stitch. We are going to go right on top of that stitch with a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, and right on top of it, you're going to insert a double crochet. From here on, you are going to go into this chain 1 space with 2 double crochets all into the same very space. Right after into this next double crochet, you're going to go on top of the double crochet with 1 double crochet, and the next space is a chain 1 space, so you're going to insert 2 double crochets, and this is what you're going to repeat for the entire row. Right here, I'm coming to the end of row 3. You want to make sure that you're going into that last chain space with 2 double crochets, and to end off the row, you are going to be slip stitching into the top chain in the set of 3 chains. So you're going to go right into the top, just the same way you've been doing, and you're going to slip stitch, and this is how you end off row 3. Super simple. For row 4, we are going to go ahead and start making the corners for the square. So you're going to chain 5 to get started, and after chaining 5, you're going to skip 2 stitches. So again, you want to identify where your chain 3 space is, because that's your very first stitch. So right there is my first stitch. I am going to skip 1, 2, and this is going to be the 3rd space, so I'm going to insert a single crochet. So right there we have a chain 5 and a single crochet. From here on, you're going to chain 3, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd you are going to insert a single crochet. From there on, you are going to chain 3 again, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd, insert a single crochet. Chain 3 again, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd, a single crochet. So we basically have chain 5, chain 3, chain 3, chain 3. So we have, after every chain 5, we have 3 chain 3s, and then skip 2 stitches and into the 3rd with a single crochet. So now we are going to repeat the first chain 5, so we can have another corner at this point, because we already have a corner at this end. So you're going to chain 5, and you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd you are going to insert a single crochet. And just like that, we now have 2 corners on the pattern. From there on, we're going to repeat this chain 3 space pattern, chain 3 pattern. So you're going to chain 3, you're skipping 2 stitches, and into the 3rd you are inserting a single crochet, chain 3, you're skipping 1, 2, and into the 3rd a single crochet, chain 3, skipping 1, 2, and into the 3rd a single crochet. And we have 3 chain 3 space, which means our next stitch is going to be chain 5. So we're going to chain 5, and we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and right into the 3rd we are going to insert a single crochet. And of course, now we have 3 corners, but we definitely need to do 1 more. So you're going to repeat this exact pattern until you get to the very end of the row. So right here, I am coming to the very end of this row. We are going to end off the row by chaining 3 after the last single crochet, and right into this very first stitch where we usually start is where you're going to insert your single crochet. And also, it's just the same as skip 2 and into the 3rd, because the 3rd does fall right into that same space. Right there you have your single crochet, and this is how you end off row 4. For row 5, you are going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first chain 5 space. So you're going to go into the chain 5 space with a slip stitch, and right from there you're going to chain 3, which is a double crochet on its own, and you're going to go ahead and insert 4 double crochets after your chain 3. So you're going to go into that same space with 4 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, and all together that is a 5 double crochet, because again chain 3 at the beginning is also a double crochet on its own. From there on, you are going to chain 3, and we're going to go back into the same chain 5 space with 5 more double crochets. So you're going to yarn over and repeat double crochets of set of 5 double crochets. and you should have something looking like this. From here on, we are going to go into this chain 3 space with a single crochet. So you're going to go right into the chain 3 with a single crochet, just like that. And into this next chain 3 space, you are going to insert 7 double crochets all into the same space. So you're going to yarn over and insert a total of 7 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From here on into this next chain 3 space, you are going to insert a single crochet. And what we just did on this side, we're going to do in this next corner. So whenever you see a wider chain, that means that's chain 5. So we're going to go ahead and do the same exact pattern. So we're going to go into this chain 5 with a first set of 5 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5. And right after your 5 double crochets, you are going to chain 3 and go back into the same chain with 5 sets of double crochets, an additional 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. And from here, you're going to go into the chain 3 space with a single crochet, and into your next chain 3 space, which is this space, you are going to insert 7 double crochets, the same exact thing we did on the previous side of the panel. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and into this next chain 3 with a single crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat all around. So when you get to this corner, you're going to repeat 5 double crochets, chain 3, 5 double crochets. When you get to the next first chain 3 space, a single crochet, the middle chain 3 space, 7 double crochets, the next single crochet, and then you get back to this next corner where you're going to repeat the same 5 double crochets, chain 3, 5 double crochets. Do that for the entire row, and I'll see you guys at the very end. So right here, I am coming to the end of row 5. I will end off the row by going into this very first single crochet. I think that was a single crochet, I don't even know. We're going to go right into this space with a slip stitch to end off this row, and your work should be looking like this. This is such a cute pattern. From here on, we are going to start the next row by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, and again, remember, a chain 3 in this pattern is a double crochet on its own. After chaining 3, we are going to chain an additional 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in total, we actually have 8 chains. Right from there, we are going to go into this very first chain 3 space with a single crochet. And right after the single crochet, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and go back into that same chain 3 space with a single crochet, just like that. From here on, we are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right into this single crochet right here, in between these 2 sets, you are going to insert a double crochet stitch. So you're going to yarn over and go into your single crochet with a double crochet, just like that. From here on, you're going to chain 3, and into this set of 7 double crochets, you want to go into the middle, which is the 4th stitch. So right into the 4th, you are going to insert a single crochet. Right after, you are going to chain 3, and into this next chain single crochet stitch, you are going to insert a double crochet, just the same thing we did on this other single crochet space. So you're going to insert 1 double crochet, and so far this is what your work should be looking like. So we're basically making another borders around the square. From here on, we are going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into this next chain 3 space, we are going to insert a single crochet, chain 3, and a single crochet. From there on, you are going to chain 5. And into this very first single crochet space right in between these two, you're going to insert a double crochet. After your double crochet, you want to make sure you chain 3, and into this first 7 set of double crochets, you're going into the 4th with a single crochet, chain 3. Into this next set of single crochet, you are going to insert a double crochet, and you're going to chain 5. And right into this V stitch again, this chain 3 space, you're going to insert a single crochet, chain 3 again, and a single crochet. So this is honestly what the pattern is made up of. So we have chain 5 at the corners, but then at the center right here we have chain 3s. So these are chain 3s, these are chain 3s, and these are chain 5, chain 5, chain 5, chain 3, chain 3, chain 5, chain 5. So that's honestly what the pattern is made up of. So I'm going to repeat the same exact step until I get to the very end. So we are coming to the very end of row 6. Usually after a single crochet in this space, you're supposed to chain 3 and insert a double crochet into the next single crochet space, right? And right here, this is our next single crochet space. But remember at the very beginning, we chain 3 first before we chain the 5, which gave us a total of 8 chains. So that chain 3 we did at the very beginning is this double crochet we are supposed to do now. So we don't have to do that anymore. So you're going to just chain 3 and right into this very set of 8 double crochet chains, you are going to go into the 3rd. So counting from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, right into the 3rd, you are going to slip stitch, and that is how you end off row 6. Super simple. From here on, we are going to go row 7. So for that, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into this chain 5 space again. So you're going to slip stitch into your chain 5, and you're going to chain 3, which is also a double crochet stitch, and right into this next chain 5 space, the same space, you're going to insert 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that honestly leaves us with 5 in total because the chain 3 is a double crochet. From there on, we have a chain 3 space right here. You're going to insert 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and right after your 3 double crochets, you're chaining 3 and going right into that same chain 3 space again with 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So right here we have 5 double crochets, and right into this chain 3 space we have 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Into this next chain 5 space, we're doing the same exact thing we did on this side, which is 5 double crochets all into that same chain space. 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. From there on, we have a chain 3 space. Into the chain 3 space, we are going to insert 3 double crochets. So you're going into that same space, 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So we have 5, 3. And into this next chain 3 space, we are going to insert 3 double crochets again. 1, 2, 3. So you're basically inserting 3 double crochets into your chain 3 space and 5 double crochets into your chain 5 space. And when you get to this single crochet V stitch, you're going to make sure you insert 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets again. I don't know why that sounded like a tongue twister, but I'm just going to repeat this exact same pattern all around until I get to the very end of the row. Great. So this is what we have right now. To end of the row, all you have to do is find your chain 3 you did at the very beginning and go into the top chain with a slip stitch. And just like that, we just finished our granny square. I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut off the yarn, and I'll just chain one just so I can secure this. So from here on, you can go ahead and sew in your loose ends and sew your loose ends.
So if you look at this picture, you can tell that I have a total of 15 granny squares. So lengthwise I have 3, but widthwise I have 5. This is the same thing for different sizes. The only difference is your granny squares are basically going to look bigger if you're making a bigger size, or smaller if you're making a smaller size. Again, it's going to look bigger if you use a 4.5 instead of a 3.5 that I used, and it's also going to look a little bit smaller if you use a 2.5 instead of 3.5, but it's exactly the same thing. If you take the measurement of your granny squares for the back panel, you're basically going to need 15 of these. My length is 15.5 inches, while my width is about 25 inches. Definitely. So you're going to just continue to make granny squares until you have your desired length, but when it comes to width, you are going to stick to 5. If you want to make it longer, you can go all the way down to 10 lengthwise, but when it comes to widthwise, you are going to have 5 granny squares. So do that, and I'll see you guys and show you guys how to attach everything together.
To attach your granny squares, it's super simple. I'm just going to show you guys the method I used. The basic rule is just to make sure that whatever stitch you're going into on this one aligns with the stitch that you're going to on the opposite side, because again, all the sides are literally the same. So if you're going into this chain 3 space, you want to make sure that when you're going into the next square, you're also going into the chain 3 space. That way you keep the stitches aligned. So you're just going to grab your yarn and make a secure knot. And also with the attachment, it's super simple. You want to make sure that you're checking back and forth if you are going into the same stitch and if you're aligning everything together. So into this chain 3, I'm just going to grab the yarn, and right from there I'm moving to the very first stitch, which is this stitch. I'm moving to the very first stitch, and I want to make sure that I'm also going into the very first stitch on the opposite granny square, and I'm going to single crochet those two together, and also just making my way up to the next and the next on the opposite and single crochet the two together. Super simple. You're carefully just going to make sure you're aligning the stitches on both sides of the granny squares, and single crochet or slip stitch or use a needle for this method until you get to the very top. And just like that, you just have your first 2 sets of granny squares attached, and this is what it looks like from the rack. I want to mention that you want to make sure that when you're attaching the next granny square, that the seam which I have on this side is going to be on this side as well, so everything aligns together. So when you turn this over, you have the seamless side all aligning together. Super simple. Also, what I wanted to say is, like, if you don't want to cut off your yarn, all you have to do is just grab this one and work your next, and just play around with it until you have all your squares for your back panel attached together. Guys, so I just single crocheted all my squares together. I have a total of 15 again for reference. So now I am gonna go around the entire granny square with single crochet, sorry. I'm gonna go all around with a single crochet stitch first, and then I can have a foundation solid base around it, and I'll just like the way it looks. So all I'm gonna do is just attach my yarn to one corner of the panel to the very edge, and I like to just make sure this is secure. And the attachment, the rows that I'm about to create, is super simple. I am just going to chain one first, and into this first corner I am going to insert my first single crochet, and just go into this next 3 sets of double crochets with 1 single crochet each. You're basically just repeating one single crochet into every stitch all around the borders of the panel. Super simple, and this is just going to give us a good foundation to start with before we attach the back panel to the front panel when it's complete.
So now that you have your back panel complete, you're going to now go ahead and make granny squares for your front panel. The only difference is we're going to be needing one less granny square. So instead of 15, you are going to be needing 14. So in total, you kind of need like 29 granny squares. You are going to now go ahead and make your 14 granny squares for your front panel, and then you attach it the same exact way I have in this picture. So you want to make sure that you leave one little square gap at the very top, because that is where we're going to create the neckline for the polo, basically.
So you are going to take the measurement of how wide you want the armpit to be. We already know that the open side is the upper part, while the closed side with the 5 set is going to be the lower part. So you're going to now grab your tape and take your measurement from the side all the way down. I think I'm going to make mine about 18 inches, which means from this 8 inches, from this 8 inches downwards, I will be attaching with a single crochet. You can also still go back and check to make sure that the squares actually align on each side before you single crochet them together. So I'm just going to grab the yarn and attach that to the panels. And from here, I'm carefully going to single crochet all the way down, and you can see that the seam that I'm about to create already aligns with the seam that the panel has right there. So I'm just going to go into that first space, chain 1, and just single crochet. And also I'm making sure that I align the square on each side, on each panel together, so I can have a very straight attachment. And your panel should look like this. So you're going to repeat the same exact step for the shoulders, which is basically attaching these 2 squares to the back panel, and you're going to do that on the 2 sides as well. And when you're done, you're going to repeat the same exact step on the opposite side by doing the same exact attachment and then
I do have one granny square missing in the following clips, but just ignore that because I later on attached it. I just did not have my granny square ready yet, so just ignore the fact that you have 2 sides open instead of 1.
This is what we have. This is going to be the neck area. So now you're going to find the center. So to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just count the stitches. So right here I have 3 sets of double crochets. I have 5 sets of double crochets and I have 3 sets, which means this is going to be my center. So we are going to go ahead and start right after this 4 sets of double crochets, 5 sets, sorry. So you're going to go into this space with your crochet hook and you're going to just attach your yarn and secure that. And from here on, we are going to single crochet our way to this end, making sure that we're going into every stitch. So I'm just going to chain 1 and I'm going to skip this very first stitch, but then into the second I am going to insert a single crochet and into the next a single crochet and just make my way up with 1 single crochet until I get to the very edge of the panel. And right there I'm at the edge of the panel. Let me zoom in so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Right there I'm at the edge of the panel. I am going to slip stitch into this very first stitch. So right here I already have my single crochets on the set. Remember when we single crocheted all around the panel? So right into this very first single crochet I will be slip stitching into it. Right there. From here on we are going to go into the next single crochet on the lengthwise, and we are going to slip stitch into that as well. After the slip stitch into that single crochet, you are going to turn, and we're going to work our way back to this center where we first started. And so into this very first single crochet on this side of the panel, you are going to insert a single crochet, and then you're going to just repeat one single crochet with a tight tension. By the way, I'm using a very tight tension. I'm just going to insert one single crochet until I get to the very edge. So right into this last space, I am going to insert a single crochet. And just like that, it looks like this from the other side. You're going to chain one and turn, and you're going to work your way with a single crochet into this very first stitch, and then one single crochet into the next, and then repeat one single crochet until you get to the edge of this row. And just like that, you're at the edge. You are going to go ahead and slip stitch on the side as well. So we're basically, I don't know if you guys can already see what we're making, but we're basically making this to flip. We're making rows vertically, but we want to attach that to the side as well. So you're going to now go ahead and slip stitch into this next single crochet. But what you can also do if you want to avoid slip stitching into the stitch is you can just chain one. That's another method that I use all the time. So when I get to the very edge, I'm just gonna chain one and turn and repeat single crochet until I have the desired length. And when I have the length, all I'm going to do is just flip this over and attach the sides with single crochet. So it's also the same exact thing if you don't want to do this method by slip stitching into this. So I think I might do that as well. So I'm just going to turn, chain one and turn, and I'm going to go into the very first stitch, and I'm going to go into this very first stitch with a single crochet and just basically work one single crochet until I get to the edge, and that is what I'm going to repeat for a few rows, and then I'll see you guys when I have a good length. So I just finished my single crochet row. I did a total of 14 rows of single crochet. So now from here on, I have my yarn attached on this side. So you want to make sure that you're ending off on this side instead of this side. You are now going to go ahead and chain 20. And this is going to be the color that would eventually just overlap when we're done. So you can make this longer if you want to, but I think 20 is fine for me. I'm just going to chain an extra one just so I can have a turning chain. And I'm going to go into the second chain with a single crochet. And of course going to repeat one single crochet until I get to the end of the chain. And when I get to the end of the chain, I am just going to go into this single crochet rows I've been doing with a single crochet. The only difference now is like we have a long extension of 20 more chains, but you're doing the exact same steps. So you're going to single crochet until you get to the end of the row, and when you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain one, turn, and make your way up until this chain, and repeat that for a good amount. So you want to repeat that for a good amount again, as to get to this point of the neck and also all the way down to this side. So you're basically going around with this entire pattern. So I'm gonna do mine and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like and also give you guys measurement base and rows info to let you guys know exactly how many rows I did for this particular. It's actually the same for every size anyway, so I'm just gonna go repeat that and I'll see you guys when it's complete. So I have a total of 30 rows. So again, I ended up chaining 15 instead of 20 because I thought I just did not like the way 20 looked. It looked super long when you eventually sew this. I think it was going to end up all the way to this end, and that's not the look I'm going for. So I did 15, but I did a total of 30 rows. So from here up until this end is 30 rows, and if you just play around with this, you can see that it goes all the way around the neck and also to this end. And remember, we did few rows first before we chain 15, right? So you're not going to do that all the way to the very bottom. You want to make sure that it aligns with this particular side. So for me, I'm guessing it's going to be about this much, which I think 30 rows already comes up all the way down to that area. So what I'm going to do now is we are just basically going to do this rows that we did with the same amount of stitches. So you can go ahead and count the stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stitches in total. And I have, I think, about 14 rows in total. So what we're going to do now is we are now going to cut off the yarn. So my last row ended off on this side, so I'm going to cut off the yarn. But if you ended off your last row on this side, you are not cutting off your yarn. But I am going to, because the next row is going to, you basically want to fold this panel into two, and you can see that this side of the panel is worked on this edge and not on this edge. So you're going to fold that into two and mark exactly where the panel actually starts, or you can count just 15 stitches if you want to, but I'm just going to mark that and I'm going to go into that area, into that same stitch with my new yarn. So I'm going to go in there with a new yarn and attach that with a secure knot. And just like that, I am going to chain one, go back into that same stitch with a single crochet, and I'm just going to do a single crochet until I get to the very end of the row. I'm going to do is just chain one and turn, and I'm just going to repeat a single crochet until I get to that very first stitch on this edge. To that very first stitch. From there on, you're going to chain one and repeat this single crochet until you have the same amount of rows that you have on this side of the panel. So when you later on complete this, you are going to just attach this. Super cute. You guys will see later on what the attachment involves. And when you have your full rows, exactly the same amount you did on this side, guys, keep that in mind. For me, it's 14. Yes, 14, so you're going to do the exact same thing. So now we are going to attach this entire panel to the neckline. So you can start wherever you want to, but since I have my yarn attached already, what we're going to do now is just start by single crocheting. Or you can use a needle or slip stitch for this method as well, but you want to make sure that you're aligning these pieces the way it should be. So we are going to start. So right here we are going to start single crocheting, but I'm going to turn this to the opposite side because I want to make sure that my seam will align with the seam I've already created on the other side of the panel. So I'm just going to flip this over. And this is also going to make it super easy for me to just attach everything together. I still have my yarn attached, so I am going to go into that yarn and I'm going to start the attachment. So I'm going to start right from this corner. We are first going to go ahead and attach. Okay, so we're going to start by attaching. I have my yarn attached on the side, so I'm just going to start with this, which means this is going to be open, but we'll fix that later. So right here, I am going to just go into this very first space and I'm going to single crochet. I'm slightly going to turn this a little just so I can have room and see exactly what I'm doing. So from here, I'm just going to go into this next space on the polo, and I'm going to go into the next space on the band, and I'm going to single crochet these two together, and I'm carefully just going to single crochet just the same way you would attach anything to a panel. I'm just going to attach the band by single crocheting everything together. So right there, carefully single crocheting, making my way up as I go with single crochets. So you can see that I'm already doing that, and the seam is already looking the way it should. I'm going to just repeat this all around. Super simple. So guys, we are now going to get started with attaching this side of this panel to this, but you can see that it is longer than this space that we have between this and this. So the plan was to make sure it overlaps at least few stitches inside this, so when you flip this over, you're going to have the overlap look. So what you can do is you can attach your yarn right from this end. So you're going to go into the first stitch on there and attach your yarn with a secure knot. And I'm just going to turn this over and just do the same thing by single crocheting until I get to the opposite end. And right there you can see that I have a few more that I need to attach, so I'm going to attach that over the opposite, what is it called, I don't know, panel, I guess. So it's going to go right above. So you have to play around with the way you're attaching this. You can either go into a stitch on this panel or you go into a stitch on the granny square, if it makes sense. So carefully just go in there. Single crocheting or slip stitching. I think using a needle for this method is also super easy and it's better, but I just love using single crochets when it comes to attachment. And I like to go back into that last single crochet just to make sure it's secure with a slip stitch, and I'm going to chain one, cut off my yarn, and just like that we have it complete. So you can now turn your panel to the good side. I have so many loose ends that I need to sew. Just like that. Just like that, it's complete. And for the sleeve, I am just going to attach my yarn and go around the sleeve with few single crochets. So right there, I'm going to reattach my yarn at the bottom. You don't have to do this, this is optional, because the granny square already falls on your sleeve, on your arm, sorry, so which means we don't even have to do a sleeve. So I'm just doing this so I can just have a solid thing that can connect with the neck. So I'm just going to go into that very first stitch, chain one, and I'm just going to go into every single crochet around the armpit area of the panel. Super simple. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm not doing the same thing on the edge of the polo because I want it to be free, but I want to do that on the sleeve. I want the edge to just be free, just the same way it is now. That's the reason why I use this lightweight yarn. So I suggest you use a lightweight yarn for this pattern, because then it will give you a very loose, free look. So I'm just going to single crochet all around like this. All around for a total of 5 rows, I think, just 5. And then I'll show you guys what the final look looks like. I'm also thinking about blocking it, but I don't know for sure, because I feel like if I block it, the length is probably going to get longer, and I don't want it to get longer, and I also want to keep the flowiness right now. So I don't know. I usually don't block my items. I've probably only blocked one item, which was a blanket. So I don't know if that's an option. But yeah, I'll decide. I'm just gonna finish this off and then put this on, and then I'll decide if I want to block it or if I just want to leave it just the way it is now. Hey guys, so this is the final look. I love the fact that I can also wear this on the opposite side with the seam being outside. I guess that's the reason why I just like using a single crochet, because then it gives you this, I don't know, division look, which I kind of like. Looking at it from this point, I actually like it way more compared to this side. But yeah, I can wear it wherever I want to, because now I have the seam this end, which obviously just adds, I think it adds a little more structure to the granny squares, and you can see them way more, I don't know, better than when it's at the opposite side. Yeah, this is the final look. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you haven't liked the video yet, this is the best time for you to like, because you've made it to the very end. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed yet, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye bye.